This is information we are picking up from the United States. US declares Lashkar offshoot behind the Pahalgam attack as terrorist organization. The United States has designated the Resistance Front, that is the TRF, as a foreign terrorist organization for its involvement in the Pahalgam attack in Kashmir. Big news that we are picking up at this point. When we speak of geopolitics specifically, Marco Rubio described the Resistance Front as a proxy of the Lashkar-e-Taiba. Pahalgam attack killed, remember, 26. Deadliest attack that we have witnessed in India since 2008 Mumbai strike. And now the United States has come out to designate TRF as a terrorist organization. Firstly, we do have Pranay Upadhyay joining us on the broadcast to, in fact, bring in a little more details into this very story before we proceed with a detailed conversation with our guest for the hour. Pranay, a very good morning to you. This is an important decision. This is crucial for India as well. Just tell us how we're looking at it at this point.
Good morning, Shreya. And this is indeed a very significant decision by the Trump administration, by the US State Department, and this can be seen as a big diplomatic success for India. It's been 87 days of 22nd April 2025 Pahalgam terror attack, and India has been trying to get to take it to logical conclusion, pursuing not only in terms of Operation Sindoor but also diplomatically to get the perpetrators booked of the Pahalgam terror attack. U.S. designation of TRF as a foreign terrorist organization and as specially designated terror outfit clearly indicates that the United States government also believes that the Pahalgam terror attack was carried out from the Pakistani soil and Pakistan-based terror outfits were involved in that terror attack. So clearly, this is a vindication of India's point after the big outreach carried out by the Indian parliamentary delegation, big outreach carried out by the India's foreign minister, external affairs minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and his team. So this is clearly a big diplomatic victory. What entails after this? This clearly shows that this also, strengthened India's effort to designate, to get the TRF under the UN designated terror list. Also,
Pranay, I will come back to you. I'm very sorry to interrupt you here, but we'll also have John Spencer, US warfare expert, joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Spencer, thank you for speaking to us on India Today. Very firstly, my question to you would be, it is a big diplomatic win for India. There is no denying that. The timing of this very decision that's been taken and been declared by the United States and how we are looking at it, both from the United States, the perspectives of the United States, why this decision has been taken, and for India as well, how are we looking at it?
Yeah, I'm extremely happy to see this, to include the full explanation under the Foreign Terrorist Organization and Global Terrorist designation. It's not ceremonial. It's very important. It unleashes the power of the world's only superpower against not just TRF, but anybody associated with them. Doesn't matter if they're a Pakistani propagandist, a a drone supplier. They'll face travel bans, they'll face asset seizure, they'll face criminal charges. It's massive, and it shows that President Trump stands with India against terrorism launched on his soil, designating not just TRF, but recognizing that Lashkar-e-Taiba, which we know is a Pakistan ISI-backed formation, that this is a huge shift and a very important step to unleash our capability against this terror proxy, and that we are living in a new world.
Absolutely. And, when we speak of cross-border terrorism, especially post the Pahalgam attack, India has always been very clear with its no tolerance towards terrorism stance. It has been clear over the years, but especially after the Pahalgam attack, we had a big global outreach program as well for Operation Sindoor. And now this particular decision coming in the light in the context of all of these developments, it's a big win for India as well. Would you not say that?
Absolutely. I mean, India had a massive win by its domination in Operation Sindoor, its change of its strategic policy. Although, like you said, it's had this policy, but to respond immediately to any terror attack is something new, and also the leadership that India has shown. Hopefully, we see this follow into the United Nations. The United States has a new ambassador to the United Nations. Hopefully, that gets secured. Mike Waltz, who hopefully will continue this line, but absolutely important for India as well, as in this is a new India in its treatment towards its terrorism, but hopefully this will signal a global stance as well.
Right. So, Mr. Spencer, when we speak of this very move, would you also say this sets a precedent, and an important one at that, geopolitically speaking, for countries which, in fact, during the time when we'd seen the Pahalgam attack and in the aftermath, they weren't very supportive of the stance India had taken? Would you say this sets a precedent and a strong one in the geopolitics and the current geopolitical scenario?
Absolutely. And hopefully it reaches to a deterrence level, right? So it absolutely sends a signal, just like Operation Sindoor should have sent a signal to the terrorist. This sends a signal to every terrorist backer, whether it's state backer or private backer. We saw this, and as soon as President Trump in the Middle East with Iran's backing of terrorism like the Houthis, but this is also a significant shift, absolutely, that established that already India has a new deterrence strategy, right? So a new strategy of not only having the capability of dominance, but the willingness to use it, and to have the United States and hopefully many other countries also doing this, so that we do put an end to this double, talk of nations backing and launching terrorists against their neighbors, and we see a global shift for sure.
Would you also say this is a message? While we've, ever since April, we've seen a lot of developments, especially when we speak of the United States and its involvement, its partnership both with India, but also I would have to bring in its partnership with Pakistan. We've also seen Asim Munir being hosted in the White House itself. So would you say this also sends a strong message to them at this given point with this very decision being taken? That yes, we may have partnerships on the side, but terrorism has no nation, and we will be treating it with the harshest of measures.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why the designation is so important, because it's not just to the group, but to its backers. So this will ripple across. So it absolutely will be a message to many echelons within Pakistan. Geopolitics is complex, but clearly President Trump is sending a strong message that terrorism is not acceptable, and it is not that complex.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not complex at all. But, I would also take a look at this very step, this measure, this declaration from another side. And I would want to ask you this question here. When Operation Sindoor had taken place, it was President Trump who had come out to say that he was the one. And it wasn't just then, even post that, he kept reiterating on this particular point, that it was the United States which had acted as a mediator. But India has been very clear that we were the ones. We had clear talks with Pakistan. It wasn't anybody else. No third-party involvement was there. With this very step being taken, while yes, it has been very important, would you also say that Donald Trump might continue pressing on that point further and, in fact, associate this step with that very declaration as well?
I mean, I don't think so. I don't do politics, to be honest. I do war. And I just got back from India, understanding and meeting with senior military and political leaders. India released an hour by hour, both phone call and action of Operation Sindoor. I think the evidence is clear. I don't get into the politics, and I separate these two from the unique way that our president communicates. I don't deal with that. I deal with war. I study war, and I studied India's actions and Pakistan's actions during Operation Sindoor. And India was very transparent on the calls it made to the Pakistan DGMO that weren't answered, and the ones that they answered themselves coming from Pakistan's military. I think that's pretty clear. I think this is a completely separate action, but also a huge signal of justice for Pahalgam and for all the victims, and against terrorism like we've been talking about.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Spencer, for speaking to us on India Today. And, well, that is the word that we are picking up, viewers, at this given point. It was nonetheless an important step, especially diplomatically speaking, for India, for the TRF to be designated as a terrorist organization.
Thank you.